This man who has contributed so much to the world's gross international happiness.
Legal experts often say that court cases hinge on credibility. If a jury decides someone is lying, everything they say can be disregarded.
Of books, I mean, so many of her books are on the New York Times bestseller. I mean, it's crazy.
According to recent rumors swirling around Hollywood, Blake Lively might be learning that lesson the hard way. What started as a high-profile lawsuit against actor-director Justin Baldoni has reportedly snowballed into a tangled web of alleged bribery, attempts to suppress evidence, and desperate last-ditch maneuvers to keep damaging secrets out of public view.
I don't want to give away any spoilers. The very first time we met, we had a 3-hour meeting. And by the end of that meeting, I just knew.
Despite Lively's attempts to control the narrative, allegedly including strategic press management, some insiders claim the truth is emerging faster than she can bury it. Could one of Hollywood's brightest stars actually be on the verge of facing serious legal consequences? According to unverified gossip and courtroom whispers, Lively may have tried to influence judges, hide unfavorable evidence, and orchestrate a smear campaign so extensive that even the presiding judge reportedly called out her tactics.
They find that she just was dishonest and lied on one single point of evidence in this case, in her testimony. The jury instruction says that they are.
Remember, all these claims stem from media chatter and rumor mills. Nothing has been conclusively proven in any court of law. Still, if even half of it is true, it spells trouble for her reputation.
And then I read the reason why Colleen wrote the movie. It was for her mother, who had a real-life experience like this. You know, she was Lily Bloom.
Not long ago, Blake Lively filed a lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, claiming he had wronged her in ways serious enough to warrant a very public legal battle. She portrayed herself as someone who had been forced into uncomfortable situations, insisting that she had proof of distressing on-set behavior. Early headlines framed her as a victim. But then everything changed. Almost immediately, Justin Baldoni struck back with his own counterclaims. He and his team alleged that Lively was twisting events to wrest creative control and even ownership of a film project.
And he wasn't really in character, and it wasn't within the context of what it should have been. So they're trying to skew it kind of a different way.
On top of that, rumors now suggest Baldoni's legal counsel found glaring inconsistencies in Lively's account of events, causing outside observers to question her credibility. That's when talk of fake victimhood began gaining steam on social media. From here on out, the lawsuit devolved into a chaotic war of words, press releases, and sensational claims. Insiders say it feels less like a legitimate legal case and more like a Hollywood script brimming with twists.
I really wanted to tell her story, and to be able to tell it in a way where I was able to have such authorship was really important to me, and I'm really, really grateful.
After Baldoni's counterattack gained traction, Lively's legal team reportedly filed an amended complaint, a massive 180-page document. Legal analysts note that a typical lawsuit of this nature might run 20 to 30 pages at most. This gargantuan filing raised eyebrows, leading skeptics to argue it was more of a public relations exercise than a bona fide legal brief. Why so long? Some lawyers suggest it was meant to bury the crucial issues under a mountain of text. Observers wondered if Lively's team hoped sensational headlines would overshadow any serious legal scrutiny. Whatever the motive, the amended complaint ignited debates about whether it was a strategic pivot to salvage Lively's crumbling story. At the center of these debates stood one piece of so-called smoking gun evidence, a video of a dance scene. Lively's complaint initially claimed it was horrifying, framing it as definitive proof of her grievances. Yet when the full, unedited footage leaked, onlookers saw Lively engaged in the scene without apparent discomfort. Critics pounced, accusing her of exaggerating or outright falsifying events. Legal analysts pointed out that if a single falsehood is proven, a jury can be instructed to disregard an entire testimony, potentially dooming her case.
So Barbara really treats a cast and crew very well, Barbara, a producer. And my husband, we never work at the same time, but he showed up a few days later.
According to persistent rumors, as Lively's original claims began falling apart, she or her team made an effort to influence the legal system itself. Some sources allege that behind-the-scenes attempts were made to ensure damaging evidence never saw the light of day. One such maneuver involved an attorney's eyes only (AEO) request. In simple terms, AEO means only the lawyers can view certain documents, keeping even the parties involved in the dark. Critics argue that this is a strategy typically reserved for legitimate trade secrets or personal data, not for hiding scandalous messages or embarrassing evidence. These critics further allege that Lively's side sought to stifle any potentially incriminating material. Judge Lyman, who is presiding over the case, reportedly appeared skeptical. Some claim he characterized the situation as a war between PR firms rather than a legitimate legal dispute, an extraordinary statement if true, suggesting he sees more spin than substance. If so, that's a terrible sign for Lively's team, as judges don't appreciate their courtroom being exploited as a PR battleground.
Incredible. There's some credibility to them, because if we do learn that these were brought about by Blake Lively and her team.
Here's where things get even more alarming. Though these accusations remain entirely unproven, various media whispers suggest that someone close to Lively's team was connected to 100 million reasons to keep certain details under wraps. The insinuation is that a massive sum of money may have been at play.
Of books, I mean, so many of her books are on the New York Times bestseller. I mean, it's crazy.
Either as a bribe or hush money to ensure crucial evidence wouldn't surface. If it's all just rumor, it's still damaging. If there's a kernel of truth, that veers into outright corruption territory far beyond a mere defamation case. Legal experts caution that no direct evidence of a bribe has been made public, and if none materializes, these claims will remain gossip rather than fact. Still, the whiff of potential corruption is enough to fuel speculation that this case has spiraled into highly unethical territory.
Pops and to have a story that's like from a book that's such a big IP that hasn't been done, that hasn't been on screen before, it's such a special.
Even more bizarre is the talk about so-called secret witnesses who would testify against Baldoni. A couple of unnamed actresses allegedly came forward claiming they felt uncomfortable on set. Yet they never attached their names to any official legal documents, and insiders say the mainstream press wouldn't run the stories because they found them suspiciously unsubstantiated. This approach, publicly hinting at damaging stories without formal declarations, strikes many as a classic pressure tactic. Some believe it's an attempt to smear Baldoni in the court of public opinion, rather than prove anything in an actual court. In fact, certain gossip columns reported that the very media outlets Lively's team hoped to enlist turned them away, citing insufficient proof. For critics, this is yet another sign that Lively's legal strategy may be crumbling under its own weight. Leaked HR complaints supposedly aimed at Baldoni came off as contrived or flimsy. If the mainstream media won't touch these claims, you have to wonder how solid they really are.
I'm always going to come with my own biases, and it's one of the reasons I was afraid to direct this movie, let alone act in it. And I wanted to make sure this film always had a...
Perhaps the strangest development in this entire saga is the accusation, allegedly part of Lively's campaign, that Justin Baldoni was guilty of something akin to toxic positivity. According to reports, ex-employees claimed he was too nice at work, or that his efforts to spread positivity felt inauthentic. This claim has drawn widespread ridicule online. Popular commentators questioned whether being overly cheerful on set could possibly constitute grounds for a serious complaint. One well-known media personality reportedly remarked that if we start suing people for being too nice, Hollywood's labor force might collapse under a wave of lawsuits. The notion left many concluding that if this is the best Lively's team can do, the case is in dire straits.
I have to do these fight sequences myself.
And train and all this stuff?
Yeah, it was like a 4-minute scene with me and Jude Law beating each other up.
At this juncture, observers say Lively's case appears to be in freefall. If a single proven lie can undermine an entire testimony, then multiple apparent inconsistencies might spell disaster for her. Many suspect she'll settle out of court to avoid a humiliating trial. Legal analysts who followed celebrity cases note that depositions can be recorded, leaving a permanent record.
Responsible for this, for your own life, the comic fans will come after you. So he like breathed the fear.
If Lively contradicts herself under oath, that footage could be publicly released, inflicting lasting damage on her reputation. Another angle is Ryan Reynolds, Lively's husband, who might also be impacted. Although he's not the direct focus of every claim, some watchers believe he played a behind-the-scenes role in supporting or orchestrating the lawsuits and media campaigns. If so, the fallout might hit both of them. Hollywood is famously unforgiving once a star falls out of favor, and major studios may opt to distance themselves if the negative press continues unabated.
Man, some of them are really
I
annoying.
watched them before, though, the Disney movies.
You watch them before
Yeah,
you
I
show
feel
them to
like
the
my
kids?
husband and I wait for them to go to bed so we can turn on Moana.
Rumors are swirling that Lively and Reynolds hired former intelligence operatives or high-level PR strategists to manage the mounting crisis. While employing skilled crisis managers isn't unusual in Hollywood, the mention of ex-CIA or former intelligence staff has sparked intrigue. Some claim these experts are adept at shifting narratives or burying damaging news stories. But there's one major drawback. If the public perceives these tactics as manipulative, it may further erode trust. Already, there are claims that some of Lively's PR supporters wanted to remove themselves from the case, unwilling to be involved in a fiasco that might harm their own reputations. Nothing, it seems, is going according to Lively's plan.
Scenes had a female gaze, and in no way was I running them through my male brain. As much as I can try to.
So what does all this mean for Blake Lively? If the allegations are correct that she tried to bribe or intimidate her way out of accountability, this case could prove catastrophic to her career. Her credibility in both the legal system and the public eye could be irreparably harmed. Even if she manages to engineer a private settlement or push for protective orders, the whiff of scandal may linger. Still, it's essential to remember these are rumors, allegations, and unverified claims floated in the media and online chatter. We have not seen conclusive court documents verifying bribes or false testimony. Lively herself may ultimately present evidence that counters all of these accusations. Legal battles in Hollywood can be messy, and the truth often remains elusive. Yet one thing is clear. The narrative has already shifted from Blake Lively, aggrieved party, to Blake Lively, possibly facing her own downfall. Regardless of how this ends,
Which, like, you know, he didn't know it was a movie. And he goes, oh, really? And I go, yeah, you should see the other guy. And, like, I'm always...
The entire saga serves as a reminder that even Hollywood A-listers can't always escape the consequences of questionable actions, especially if they take their fights to the courtroom. What do you think about these developments? Do you believe Blake Lively is simply misunderstood, or do you suspect she orchestrated a massive PR stunt? Are the rumors about bribes and hidden evidence too extreme to believe? Or do they fit Hollywood's reputation for behind-the-scenes power plays? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe for future updates as this case continues to unfold.